ahead and get started. Thank you, Christina, for that lo-fi girl. We really appreciate that in the morning. Hello and welcome, everybody. We're so excited that you're here, joining us today for Designing Pathways with Community Partners. This is a capacity building webinar specifically designed for the CCAP dual enrollment grantees. So welcome, but everybody's welcome. Let's go on to the next slide. Our dear colleague, Diane Crum from the California Department of Education sends her warm welcome and best wishes to everybody. She's under the weather, so she's not joining us today. But if you know Diane, shoot her an email, tell her to get well soon. Let's go on to the next slide. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about pathways. We've got some amazing guests today. Our friends from McFarland High School, who were an exemplar, dual enrollment exemplar award winner. And then the amazing partnership between CARECEN and East LA College. And we've got plenty of room for questions, but we're going to start off with an overview on pathways. But before we get to that, let's take care of some business. The next slide, please. If you don't know Career Ladders Project already, hello, here we are. And we are a nonprofit. We're based in Oakland, but we work all over the state. We work with colleges and their partners to promote equity-minded community college redesign, and that includes dual enrollment. We do policy work, research, and direct work with colleges and their awesome partners. So if you don't know us, now you do, and we hope to see you again. Let's go on to the next slide. Our super awesome CLP team today. I'm Naomi. Many folks know me. My dear colleague, Laurencia Walker, is behind the scenes. She did a lot of the work to prep for today. And Christina Sandoval is our Wizard of Oz, running the slide deck and keeping us going and on task. Next slide. So, oh my gosh, what's a pathway? Okay, so we use this word like it's confetti. We sprinkle it everywhere. And sometimes we might be adhering to a specific definition or other, right? And so sometimes the colleges and the high schools look at pathways in a little bit of a different way. We're going to take a very broad look at what pathways are. That's our definition. So sometimes we think of pathways as like the intense Perkins definition, right? Do we have a capstone class? Do we have a concentration class? But we want to think of pathways as spanning the entire trajectory, from introductory classes that may or may not have college credit all the way until the termination of that formal education side. And there's lots of on-ramps and off-road ramps. So we'll get into that in a second. But let's look at CCAP on the next slide. CCAP has some very specific definition of what a pathway is. And so if you've never looked at the ed code, I'm going to drop that in the chat for CCAP, and it's all spelled out right there. So you are welcome to look at that. But if we can go on, please, to slide 7. Yeah, so here's where, and then slide 8. Well, if we can go back to slide 7. Thank you. So this is the whole everything introduction to CCAP right here. So it tells us who can partner. It tells us that CCAP is designed for students who are underrepresented in post-secondary or who might not think of themselves as college going, and that the purpose is to design these seamless pathways. And then it tells us what pathways are according to CCAP legislation. Next slide, please. So we pulled those out for you to just really highlight them. So CCAP talks about 4 kinds of pathways, and these are very broad. So 1 is a pathway for CTE. Awesome. 2 is a pathway to transfer. Fantastic. 3 is a pathway to improve high school graduation rates. So if you're thinking about things like credit recovery for students who might be lacking some credits, if you're just thinking about different ways of getting students engaged with a broader offering of courses, that might fit under that pathway. And then finally, college and career readiness. So those kinds of courses that really prepare our students. So career exploration courses, that's fantastic to help them figure out what kind of career they want to go for, like, you know, to have that introduction, those navigational skills for college. Those might fall under the number 4. Let's go on to the next slide, please. And we have some resources for you. So with our dear partners at the Linked Learning Alliance and EdTrust West, CLP developed a workbook that has some activities in there to help you kind of map out some pathways, but not just the pathways themselves, but your whole ecosystem of partnerships, because today we're going to talk about partnerships as well. So on the next slide, we have an example of that mapping activity. And so you can see there's the actual pathways, which could be the courses themselves and the early college credit, but also you know, how does work-based learning fit into that? How do student supports fit into that? Where are our partners? Our partners are right at the top because they're so important, and also a place to kind of map out your funding sources. So it's a great exercise to go through, especially if you're thinking about applying for the Golden State Pathways grant that should be coming out, we're hoping, in the early spring. We don't have an exact date on that. And then just to drop one more link, Fast Forward California is a coalition with the EdTrust West, Linked Learning Alliance, and Career Ladders Project. So we have a lot of resources there. So let's pop onto the next slide. And this is some work that CLP has done, and these slides all have handouts as well, and live links in there. But CLP has done a lot of work on what high impact career pathways are. And when we say career pathways, I really hope you include transfer pathways in that idea, because transfer pathways lead to degrees, which should lead to careers, right? That's all of our degrees should lead to careers. So we talk about them spanning this entire range, being stackable, contextualizing the learning where we can, aligning with workforce needs, engaging with these partners that are employers. We really support pathways for in-demand careers. If the labor market need isn't there for it, why are we recruiting students into that pathway? And then really looking at using data for continuous improvement. So I dropped a PDF into the chat. That's our work on high impact pathways, and hopefully that's helpful for you. And we have even more tools. So on the next slide, we have an introduction to our mapping toolkit. So this is free, it's publicly available. We want folks to use it. But CLP developed a pathways mapping toolkit so that you and your partners can get together, map out your pathways, and have them, you know, expand across the whole trajectory of the pathway. And so I'm channeling you right now. I'm channeling somebody watching this webinar going, okay, that sounds great. What does it look like? Or we've got some pathways. Sometimes the college and high school pathways might line up. Sometimes they don't. What does this kind of alignment look like? This kind of coherence. So the next couple of slides are all examples. I know they're small, but you're going to get these. And we really look at the slide deck as a repository of resources. So here we have, on the bottom, we have high schools. We have 3 different high schools, all leading into a career pathway with Contra Costa. So those are our 3 high schools right there. And then the next highlighted area, those are the college courses at the high school level, or excuse me, at the community college level. And then up above that, there's the degrees. And then that's the industry certifications that we have mapped in, and then the jobs and wages. So that if a student, in a way, knowing full well what kinds of jobs and wages they can get with what they have, maybe an introductory certificate, and that when they come back into the pathway, they can build on that. There we go. So this slide it shows the dual enrollment classes in the high schools for this pathway. Let's do the next animation there. There we go. There's that dual enrollment class. There's some other dual enrollment classes, and they're all building into the classes at the college that are part of this career pathway. And we go, well, yeah, and then they all just keep going up and up and up. That's what we like. So here is another example. It starts with the entry-level certificates. It's mapped out student supports, jobs and wages, work-based learning opportunities, industry certifications. And you can see there's a lot of detail there. This is not a PR material. This is not necessarily student facing. This is for the practitioners to figure out the pathway. And it might be a good tool for a counselor to use with a student and their family. But this was College of the Canyons, amazing work they're doing there. And next example, next slide. There we go. And so then here's the same pathway, but we've added in the high school component, right? So, and all of those, you know, you can see 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, 3 different high schools, and dual enrollment opportunities, matriculation opportunities, work-based learning opportunities. Next slide, please. Oh my gosh, and here it is all kind of detailed out for you. We've got high school courses, we've mapped in student supports, work-based learning, the college courses. If there's a bridge program that summer in between to help transition students, jobs and wages, all of that good stuff. So your maps can be as extensive as you like, and they really like help. Like if we put it on paper, then we're not dependent on those like relationship dependent kind of situations where if the whole pathway is based on two instructors relationship and one of them retires or wins the lottery, then we've lost our pathway. But so when we map it out, we can memorialize it. And then we have a couple more examples. There's another one, Los Medanos College, advanced manufacturing, tons of stuff there. And then this one is actually based on the information from that last map. This is more student facing, right? So this is like, what do the jobs look like in this pathway? What is the, you know, what does it mean to go into advanced manufacturing? So yeah, so these are all examples of pathways. But with that, and I see all the chat is alive, and Laurencia, thank you for addressing some of those questions, and they're fantastic. But with that, we would like to move to our first guest. And so with us is Jill Jimenez. She's a counselor for McFarland High School's early college. You all here, if you've been to CLP presentations about dual enrollment, we talk about McFarland a lot. They're doing some amazing work there. So I'm going to mute myself and I'm going to hand it over to Jill. Take it away, Jill.
Awesome. Thank you and welcome everybody. I'm so happy to be here. So McFarland High School Early College became a level 3 about 6 years ago. And so during that time, the pathways were really in the infancy stages. And like Naomi had mentioned, we really look year to year and we build our pathways based on need. We build our pathways based on availability of instructors because it's forever changing. And so I'm just happy to share with you a couple of the pathways that we currently have. If we can get the next slide, perfect. So we currently have 5 pathways on campus, our media arts, our public health, our business, our welding, and our Spanish associate degree for transfer. Last year, we had logistics and ag business as well, but like I mentioned, due to one of our ag teacher got promoted to a college position, and as well as our logistics teachers. So we're forever really looking and shifting and making moves based on the need. We are in current talks right now about opening up like a graphic design screen printing pathway. We have a local entrepreneur that is wanting to help our students learn the tricks in the trade and then eventually work in his shop. Along with, we have a teacher that kind of just magically appeared on our doorstep that has a CTE credential in performing arts. So we have this huge $1 million state-of-the-art building being built currently. So we're looking towards possibly adding that. So we're constantly looking, and we're looking at folks that we're hiring. We're looking at kind of just the full scope. And so it's forever changing, but great things happening here at McFarland. So far, last year we had our first graduating class with their Spanish Associate Arts. We had 41 students get their business certificates. We had 9 get their public health, and then we had 31 associate degree for transfer students. So we were really happy with that. You can go to the next slide. And so these are just little snapshots I wanted to share with everybody. These are slides that I usually start sharing in the 8th grade. And then I have them follow the students when they get to 9th grade. Our pathway selection here at McFarland doesn't usually, we try to get them thinking and gearing up in 8th grade. We give them an interest survey so that we kind of have an idea when they come in, but their pathway courses really don't start until their sophomore year. Here at McFarland, everybody gets their first dual enrollment course, which is student development, career and life planning, the minute they enter and step on our campus. So every freshman is intentionally enrolled in that course. And then we start to build, we start to see, thank you, we start to see kind of what the students are interested in. And of course, we're pulling from, at that point, what do we have? Who do we have? We also actually, now that I'm thinking about it, we have a criminal justice teacher that is actually McFarland's mayor. So he came to us, he's a retired sheriff, and he came to us and said, I'm interested in doing this. Can we start some criminal justice? So we're always like, yes, 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 and more yes. And so that is also a pathway that we're going to start. But through these slides, you're kind of going to just see, I do a frequently asked questions for the kiddos so that they have a better idea. So we talk about what is the degree, about how many classes they're going to need, how can I use it, and are these classes counted towards my high school credit? So we are very fortunate here that with our current standing pathways, all of our pathways have dual enrollment embedded. So if they are on a specific pathway, they are also getting that dual enrollment course from BC. I do want to say, and we can go on to the next slide. I do want to say that as we're kind of going through these, it does take time. I want to say it took about 5 years for our welding courses to they became dual enrollment just this last year. And so, because we've got to look, they're looking at what facility we have. Do we have the correct outlets and everything? And so that was about a 4-year plan before we could bring our first welding on. But we were patient. We were able to secure a great teacher. We have an instructor from BC that comes on campus. And so now we have this this pathway where the students are introduced and then are able to move forward to BC. So like I said, if we could just kind of go through these pathways, I know that they're going to also be, yes, just this year, our courses, I want to say our courses this year are now CCAP. That's what I've been told. So if you can go to the next slide. Same with our business pathway. We had our first group of certificate students that went through the dual enrollment CTE pathway last year. We had 41. We currently are on track for another, I think we have about 50 this year. And it's been really exciting to see that a lot of the students that were in the business pathway went to BC, or they went to their CSU or UCs, and they actually are majoring in business. So that's been a really awesome thing to see. Because again, we want to know, are they continuing? They're very adamant about getting their certificate. So they're showing up to our doorstep. Where is my certificate? How come I haven't received it? So they're super excited about that. And then if we can just go through these slides. Go ahead and go to the next one. And I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about the welding pathway again. Like I mentioned, this is not necessarily a certificate pathway through BC because right now we're still starting, but definitely we're building courses. So currently McFarland has 2 courses that we're offering this year with hopes of building on that year after year. So we started our initial class with our freshmen and sophomores. And at first BC was like, what are you guys doing? Are we going to get the advanced welders? But we had our students go through a summer course with our welding instructor. And it was almost like they went through an application process and we were able to kind of triage who was serious. And so it was an incentive for the students to come. And so now we have, it's kind of funny, we have 2 full classes. We have 30 welders that are freshmen, and their energy, and they're just so excited, and they're taking welding B1B from BC and excelling. So I was really happy that we definitely did that. So that was another thing you guys can do. We can offer those summers, see where the kids are, see who's really committed, and then we go from there. So now our wait list for welding is huge. And then we can go to the next slide. So I also just wanted to share, this is just an example. And I know Naomi kind of showed examples from some other schools. This is an example of what a plan would look like for our students. This right here has been changed so many times since I've been here. I'm in my 4th year here at the high school. And it's a constant, we're constantly looking at data. We're constantly analyzing courses. Where are the students doing well? Where can we pull from here? Which instructor did we get new? Oh, we got a math stat guy. Perfect. Let's put him there. And we're constantly working with our partners to make sure that our students are getting the courses needed, of course, to meet the general ed, but really what's going to make them successful. I know McFarland is different in the fact that we embed every single one of these courses in their school day. So you can see here, this kind of gives you an idea of what each year looks like. And we are full-fledged. We have about 65 sections right now. So about 75% of our high school is taking a college class. Give you an idea, we have about 1,000 students enrolled, and we have about 750 students taking one or more dual enrollment classes, leading to some type of pathway or certificate. Something we're really proud of. If you go to the next slide, Christina, once you guys kind of analyze these slides, you'll see the shifts. You'll see the changes that we've made over the years. My first graduating class had to go to summer school every single year. You know, as we began to look and analyze and redesign, you could see here now, beginning with this freshman class, they don't have to step foot on a summer school campus. And that, again, that's us looking at data, reanalyzing, and really seeing what's in the best interest of the students. Is there a marching band? Or yes, we do have a marching band. Great question, Luis. I think, are we gonna answer questions after, Naomi?
Yeah, we'll have
Okay.
an opportunity to answer questions
Okay,
afterwards.
Luis, I'll answer you in the chat. But yes, basically that's it. We're Cougar Renegades. We have a great partnership with Bakersfield College. If you guys have any questions, I'm here. I'll kind of be in the chat, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And oh my gosh, we love those maps because it's like, what does it look like visually, right? So helpful. So again, keep dropping your questions in the chat. Jill's going to be all over the chat, and then we'll have a chance to ask questions out loud. The CLP staff will ask your questions that you drop in the chat out loud to our panelists. So now we're going to move to our partners at CARECEN and East LA College. So we have the wonderful and awesome and amazing Rocio Velez. And then we also have Michelle Ceja from East LA. So welcome, ladies, welcome. I feel like we see each other regularly, which makes me so happy. I'm going to start off by just asking you some questions. So first of all, can you tell us about the partnership between ELAC and CARECEN?
Yeah, absolutely. I can start off with this question. I think the relationship we have between CARECEN and ELAC is just so organic, and it happens in like a multitude of ways. So we do have a dual enrollment partnership where we offer ELAC courses at CARECEN, but that's only like one of the ways that we partner with CARECEN. CARECEN is also a partner for us with our Dream Resource Center. So they have some of their lawyers that help with some of our students here who are applying for DACA or need like legal assistance in that way. So again, it's just like a multifaceted partnership that we have. And one of those components is dual enrollment that we've had for multiple semesters now.
Fantastic. And actually, Rocio, for our friends who might not know, can you tell us what CARECEN is and tell us about CARECEN?
Sure. Hi, everyone. So CARECEN is an immigrant rights organization. We're actually best known for our low-cost legal immigration services that we provide to the community. In the 90s, when the peace accords were signed in El Salvador, that's when CARECEN, I think it was like in 93, that's when CARECEN decided to start offering educational programs. So that's when the Parent and Youth Center was born. And through there is where we provide leadership workshops for students, for parents, advocacy opportunities, just to name a few of the work that CARECEN does. Oh, and lastly, we also have a day labor center that's located offsite. So we also help workers understand what their workers' rights are. And then we also support them when they're facing wage theft.
Fantastic. So you have a big footprint in East LA, and you serve you have a multitude of services for community members there, and students take classes. So walk me through that a little bit. Like, what does it look like that high school students are taking East LA college courses at the CARECEN Center?
Yes, absolutely. So ELAC happens to be one of the few community colleges, I think is the only community college that actually offers Central American study courses. So we partnered up with them since the beginning when they opened the courses. There's 3 courses that they offer that we rotate in our center. So we offer college courses on site at CARECEN, so that way students don't have to travel all the way to ELAC. ELAC is actually far away from us. We're located in the heart of LA. I like to say we're in Pico Union near MacArthur Park area. But because they offer the Central American study courses, we have them come to us where we have an instructor that teaches these classes in person on Saturdays, and we work with different schools. So we don't just have one school send us students, we share the opportunity to different students from 9th through 12th grade, and who's ever interested in coming in for the class comes in.
Fantastic. And now I have a question. Are there adult students who sometimes take these courses, or is it only high school students, or does it depend on the semester? Because you're a community center.
Yes, so we've actually have had adult students that have heard that we're offering the courses on our site. And I think it depends by semester because, students hear about it, they ask me, can I join? And most often we always say yes. So we are a community based organization. So we offer the class is primarily for high school students, but we have occasionally have adult students participate as well. And I think it's the most appealing because we offer it on Saturdays. So I think that's what makes it appealing, because we understand that students are busy throughout the week with their after school activities, tutoring, whatever it may be. So we're mindful about that. So that's why we offer the classes on Saturdays.
Thank you. Thank you. And Michelle, this is a question for you. So the big overarching theme of this is pathway designs, right? With community partners. So can you tell us what is the pathway that these students are on, or where do these classes count?
Absolutely. So a little bit about CARECEN too. I just want to shout them out because if none of you are like from the area or have never visited CARECEN, it's such a beautiful site. So it's just nice to be there. And I know for a lot of students, it's kind of a hangout spot, especially in their like youth they have in the like very first floor. But yes, so we have the courses that are like the 3 main courses that we offer through or like that focus on Central American studies. So all of these count for that degree. And again, a lot of the students that we work with at CARECEN, this might be their very first college course that they're taking. They might have never taken a college course. This is their introduction to what college is. So it's great like first step for students into realizing like, okay, like this is a college course and I'm successful in it, or I feel confident to share in class. Like college is for me, or like this is something that I see myself doing in the future. And again, the good thing is that it's actually not at our ELAC campus. It's in a place that they already know, they're already comfortable with. And right, a lot of folks like they'll be friends joining the class together. So again, it's an environment that they're already feel comfortable in, they're already familiar with. So they don't have to worry about that added layer of a new environment. They're learning, they're getting to experience college, and that they can be successful in college somewhere they already feel comfortable in. So again, it's a great first step for students into being introduced to higher ed. And again, these courses are all applicable to Central American Studies degrees. And they're also IGETC courses, so they can be counted for their general education courses.
Fantastic. And I do want to, I do want to like highlight that what we have in our examples here are two different ways of approaching pathways, right? And so at McFarland, because they are the high school, they have all the students. And so offering that introductory student development course where it helps the students kind of figure out what they might want to choose, what pathway. So like fostering that student interest is an excellent way to do it. And they have everybody so they can scale it. And then the ELAC and CARECEN partnership starts with the student interest. Like, hey, we know that you all have some kind of interest in Central America because you're coming to the CARECEN Center anyway. Your parents might be here. You might come for other reasons for the youth programming. You are a priority population. You've already expressed an interest in this because you're here, right? And so then we're going to offer you courses in something that you're interested in. And so those are two different approaches and both really fantastic. And then they both lead somewhere, right? So they're not just one-off courses, but they are folded within pathways. Rocio, could you tell us a little bit more of how you in particular in your position support the students? Because a lot of the folks who are attendees right now, they might be the folks who design the pathways. They're also probably the folks who are like tracking down students to get those parent permission forms, or they might be student supports where they're trying to like look at their Canvas shell and say like, hey, these 3 students are missing this quiz. How do I get a hold of them? You know, so we have a wide range of folks here. So what kinds of things do you do to support the students?
Yes, so we promote the classes first through the students that participate in our programming. And then we also send out the information to the schools. So we help the students register. We help the students understand what materials they're going to need. Most often we provide those materials because we want the classes to be cost-free to the students. So we do the prints. We also have an open computer lab in our facility. So students are welcome to come in an hour before class starts if they need to print out their assignments, finish whatever it is that they need to finish. And then that way they're also ready for class. Sometimes we've also had students that for whatever reason, they felt that they were ready, but maybe it didn't work out. We also support them in dropping the class if that's what they want, or try to troubleshoot to kind of figure out what's going on and what type of support they need. We've done also in the past where we've lent out students Chromebooks that we have in our facility, in case if that's what the barrier is. We also have our open computer lab open throughout the week. So especially if they're students from the community and if it's accessible and it makes it easy for them, they can also come into our facility to do their work. But this is also outside of just the ELAC work, just in general. If they need to do their work, they can. And then sometimes our students are also interested in our legal services. And one thing that I found out through our legal director was that if they're high school students who are taking college classes, because they're enrolled through ELAC, they're technically college students at ELAC. So now they qualify for that other service where they can also access the legal services of CARECEN, but through ELAC, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So this is something important for folks to know just in general, and especially when we're talking about student privacy, but also there's benefits, right? So when a student, it doesn't matter if they're 16 or however old they are, if they're enrolled in college, they are now a college student. So their FERPA rights pass to them for those college courses. And also if there's things that college students, if there's benefits that college students get, discounted or free bus passes, discounts to go to the movie, like anything like that, right? And in this case, legal aid, they are now college students, so they can access those things. So really, really fantastic. Oh, and I see you're setting up site visits to CARECEN in the chat. Right on. That's so cool. So we are collecting some questions from folks, which we'll jump into those. And let's see. Well, I'm going to start with CARECEN, and then I'm going to jump to McFarland, and then I have another question, Rocio, about your experience as a student. So I'll cue you up for that. But for CARECEN ELAC, what advice would you give to schools that want to partner with community-based organizations to offer dual enrollment? Like, what would you tell them?
I mean, I'll speak from my end. I know ELAC reached out to us that they had these courses available. We ended up absorbing it and seeing it more as one of our program opportunities that we offer to students. It helps high school students look more competitive in their college applications. You know, it also helps build that self-confidence that they can do it, you know. And it also exposes them to learn about, you know, a new subject. So at least from our end, I think just the wanting to create that accessibility, wanting to create those opportunities where students are able to have this opportunity available for them, where they're able to earn high school and college credit. I mean, it just sounds like a win-win throughout for me. So at least for me, that's it. It's just a matter of reaching out, seeing what the capacity is for the organization. For us, this looked like a great opportunity, so we were happy to make it a part of our youth programming.
Thank you. Thank you. And Michelle, I know ELAC partners with other community-based organizations. Maybe you could name some of those, and then what advice would you give to folks who want to partner with community-based organizations?
Yeah, absolutely. So CARECEN is one of the community-based organizations that we work with. Another one that's pretty well known here in the LA area is SALEF. So that's the Salvadorian American Leadership and Educational Funds. So again, another organization that does really, really good work and just like highlighting and supporting. It's not just the Salvadorian American folks, but truly like anyone who walks in their doors and needs their help and support. So very similarly, we offer courses at their site. It really depends. On our ends, we're very, very flexible. So however we can accommodate students to make sure that they're successful and they have access to these courses is what we will do. So for Salif, they've seen that more of their success and more of their students are interested in doing these courses through Zoom. So we offer them synchronously, and a lot of the students will join physically in the same space. So they'll go to Salif and join together. And there's folks who maybe they can't make it every week. So they join at home or they join while they're driving, which as long as you're driving safe, right? But again, we try to accommodate however we can to make sure that students have access and students are successful while taking this class. Another place that we recently started partnering with is the Frank Hodgkins Memorial Training Center. Sounds interesting. It's actually where fighters train. So we started offering an intro fire tech course there for a lot of the youth. So they do a lot of great work. And they actually recruit their students from all over LA County. So if you're not familiar with where it's at, it's right by the Dodger Stadium. But they get students from Lake Elsinore. Students make a drive. They drive over an hour to make it there. And that's Saturday mornings. So again, just being flexible and thinking outside of the box is one of the advice I would have for colleges, is just thinking outside of the box. It doesn't have to be a traditional like high school or middle school setting, and just thinking of places where students and the community gathers and seeing how we can incorporate our services to make sure that students are getting an opportunity to experience what higher ed is.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I've got some questions for Jill in particular. So Jill, are the ADT awardees transferring to 4 years? And are they pursuing degrees in Spanish?
Yes, so I would say we had the 31. I would say all of our 31 got into four-year university, and probably about 20, I would say about 25 to 28 are attending a four-year university right now. That is a great question. As far as I know, we do not have any students majoring in Spanish. So the two Spanish courses that they have on file, which is the Spanish B3 and B4, I want to say those are the courses that kind of linger if they don't, but all of the other courses that they took, including Spanish B1 and B2, are the transferable to a UC or a CSU.
Fantastic. So wide applicability and some like profession, like some credentialed, like, you know, this asset that you, because most of the students are also bilingual. And I know not all of them are, but many of them are. Yeah.
Many, yes.
Yeah. I think it's fair to say most.
Yes.
So it's building on an asset that they already have and conferring like some formal credentialing, like, yes,
Correct.
you get the awesome Spanish ADT, and helping with that biliteracy to build on the bilingualism as well. I'm actually going
Yes.
to drop in the chat. We did a longitudinal study with Kern district, of which Bakersfield is a part, where we looked at where students are going. So that's something for folks to kind of chew on. There's your dessert, right? And then PPIC also did a report recently. I'm going to find that where they oh, here it is, where they looked at CCAP students in particular. Now, I know your partnership was not CCAP until very, very recently, but they looked at CCAP students across the state. And what they find is that 51% of CCAP students go on to their local four-year college, excuse me, their local community college, which is contrary, which is much higher than other forms of dual enrollment, and certainly higher than students who don't do dual enrollment at all. And so that's kind of contrary to that idea that's out there, is like, oh, we put students in dual enrollment and then they never show up. And then the next highest group place that they go to are four-year institutions, of course. So that's in there. I do have some more questions for you too. Oh, you asked, can you answer the question out loud? Is there a marching band or athletics? Are there conflicts in scheduling?
All the time. So what I put in there in the chat was, I always like to say very humorously and humbly, so our starting quarterback is our Spanish AAT student, who's also our drumline, drum major, who's also the ASB president. So one of the things that we have looked at is, we share the student, and we do realize and quickly understood that that student can't be at 20 places at one time. So we just, yes, we actually just got rid of FFA because our ag teacher wound up leaving. But they are very involved. A lot of our students are involved in their local community also. A lot of our students work on the weekends in the fields with their parents, babysit. They work at the local restaurants here, and they're super involved in their churches. So we just really try hard now, again, as we've learned and looked at data, we really try hard to meet the students where they're at. So if I have a 3.9 student that is hitting all of those areas and is just, we see struggling, we will pull back a little bit. We will counsel the student. And the emphasis will stop being, let's get you an AA. We're like, let's get you some college credits.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that your college transcript is really reflects who you are, because again, over the years, it's rough, even with the classes being embedded. But yes, we definitely share the students across the board here, for sure.
Great. And this is a question for Jill and also for Michelle, is how do you hire your instructors? Like, who's teaching these classes?
So a majority of we have a combination of both. We have instructors that are here on campus that are our credentialed teachers that are hired by BC and become adjunct. And then we also have faculty and adjunct from BC that are doing courses online for our students with the support teacher in the classroom. So we have a couple different, and then we have professors from BC that are coming onto campus to teach some of our courses. And it's really just based on when our requests for BC. If we felt that last year our seniors struggled in English B1B, then this year we requested that English B1B teacher be on campus. So we just look year to year and see where the needs are. So we do have a combination of a lot online. Our public health kids all Zoom every day with their professors. So we have some asynchronous, some synchronous, some online, some Zooming, some in person. So we've got it all.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. So it's almost like all resources and all modalities are being put to use
Yes.
for the student need.
Yes.
Michelle, how are you staffing the courses at CARECEN? Is it a traditional college instructor who's coming over?
Yes, I want to say for a majority of our dual enrollment courses, it's college instructors that are already teaching at ELAC. And we're part of a larger community college district, LACCD. So if we don't have an ELAC instructor who has time available, we reach out to some of our sister colleges within our district to see if they have someone who's available to teach. So that's the case for CARECEN. But at some of our other CBOs, for example, Salif, their director is actually one of our adjunct instructors. So it works out. Same thing with Frank Hotchkiss Training Center. We have an adjunct instructor here who's actually a fire chief. So he teaches the course there. So it kind of all works out. He's familiar with the training facility. So it works out. If we have a partnership like that, then definitely why not put that instructor there? It already kind of builds students' confidence. They already know the person, and the instructor is already familiar with the site. But if we don't have a connection like that, we typically just send one of our adjunct instructors. And if we can't find someone here on campus, then we ask our sister colleges for some help.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, there's another question, and they asked the question about UCs in particular, but I'm just going to put it out like UCs and CSUs. Do they accept your courses? Do they accept your ADT? How does that work? Is there anything different about it because it's offered at a high school? So I guess that would be for Jill.
Yeah, so since we had our first go round of kiddos, we actually are working through some of those questions that have come in on our own. So I've spoken to most of my students that transferred on, and yes, the UC and CSU have taken their courses for their general ed. We did have a student go to Notre Dame, and we quickly learned that Notre Dame did not take one course.
Oh, no.
So we learned that privates, Ivy Leagues, Stanford, all those, they do not accept the dual enrollment. We also learned that our language needed to shift because we were telling our students, again, naively, when you get your AA with us, your AAT, you're going to be juniors. That's not the case. We learned that the language that the CSUs, at least the CSUs use, is that they are freshmen coming in with college credit. So we worked a lot with having our BC counselor having to reach out to different advisors and counselors at the universities, respective universities that my kids are at, because they're calling, freaking out. They're not taking my ethics course. Didn't I take that? And so again, having that partnership with my BC counselor, I have to send her to call and make sure that there's some type of understanding with the college or university that the students are at. But yes, we did learn our Notre Dame enrollee was valedictorian, top of the class, basketball extraordinaire, ASB, worked her tail off, and then, but she's much wiser because of it, and she knows how to work hard. But yes, we learned that very quickly.
Yeah, and I noticed another Jacqueline talking about that USC doesn't take any courses.
Yeah.
And UC San Diego. So Jacqueline, please email us with the UC San Diego, because so USC, despite their name sounding like they're a public institution, they are a private institution. And so as Jill explained, private institutions can take what they want and not take what they don't want. Public institutions really should not be limiting these courses. If they have an agreement already that says, yes, that ADT satisfies, or these courses satisfy, and you can find all that information on Assist, then the modality or where the courses are should have absolutely zero impact on that. And I think that there's a lot of folks, if we're finding that that is not the case, there is some things that the system can do, that the system leaders can come to some alignment. We know that Chancellor Sonia Christian is a strong advocate of dual enrollment, and the UC and the CSU system leads work with her, and they are her colleagues. And so there's a lot that she could do at that level to make sure. So yeah, so please let us know if you're getting anything like that. And then I will point out for our attendees too, there is a difference between a dual enrollment course and articulation, right? So articulation is notated as credit by exam. And that is something that public 4 years can take or not take, depending. The CSUs should be taking it. The UCs actually have a memo out that says they do take it. And so if they're not taking, but it's not the same. It is not a college course. It is college given through pass-through credit. So there might be a case there, and that's something we should work on as well, right? They should be accepting it as well. But those, so yes, shocking. So we're a little bit in the weeds. I want to pull us out of the weeds a little bit because we've got a few minutes left, and we're going to throw up some cool QR codes in a few minutes. Also, Jill, people are asking about visiting McFarland. You can throw that in there. And then, yeah, Agnes, why can't a private university take those credit? Because they're not beholden to, like, the public system is governed by California law because it's a public system. Private systems, they have to maintain like health and safety laws, but the state does not have authority to say you must take this kind of credit or you must offer this kind of credit. So that is where, but for community colleges in particular, we're heavily legislated because we are paid for by the taxpayer. We are part of the public system in the same way that public schools are. So that's the difference. But the legislature of California does not have the authority to tell Stanford what classes they can take, what they should accept or what they should not accept. Yeah, so that's in a nutshell. So yeah, lots of folks want to visit both CARECEN. They want to visit McFarland. This is fantastic. This one question, right, is just so beautiful. It's how are you so nimble in your program? And I think we can ask both of our partners that, and that'll be our last question. And they go on to ask about HR and business services and you know, has your partnership always been like this? But Jill, how are you all so nimble in your partnership? And then after you, I'd love to hear from Michelle and Rocio about the same thing.
You know, it's really the foundation work that we have laid down with our partners, because we definitely have, and like we mentioned, Dr. Sonia Christian, right? I'm fortunate that our chancellor was the Bakersfield College president and chancellor, right, I believe. And so there is a huge understanding that even when I came in during COVID from the junior high, I quickly learned how important and powerful this was. And so my relationship with Bakersfield College is so firm, and it's just a constant, what is in the best interest of our kids? That the students always remain the focus. And that's why you see us changing courses, shifting courses, adding something, taking something out, customizing it to, you know, our students' needs. And it's an everyday thing. It is I am the counselor, but I am constantly, there's not a day I don't go that I'm not in contact with my BC partners, whether it's for enrollment, registration, course requests. And so it's just a constant flow. I have great support from my district and my admins to keep it fluid and to keep it open. And we're really big at not shutting doors down. There's never a no, we can't. It's let's see how we can do it. Does this work? At one point, BC offered us industrial automation. It was a bachelor's degree program. my district took it on. We did the legwork, we spent the money. We realized it wasn't successful here. We realized that it wasn't something the students wanted. So there I went in with boxing gloves and said, no, we can't move forward with this. It's too hard. Our students aren't interested. We just don't have the manpower right now. And BC was willing and open to those conversations, and just having those courageous conversations is what makes the partnership go round, and what makes us able to really, I always have the kids back. That's in simple words. And the kids and the parents, they trust us and they know that, and they're seeing success. So that's been helpful.
Fantastic. Michelle, Rocio, in 30 seconds, why are you so nimble?
Nimble. I think from our end, it's just also trying to provide a resource for the students, an opportunity to be able to learn about their culture. We don't just work with one school because we understand that sometimes it's a lot to put on one high school to try to recruit 30 students. So that's why we work with multiple schools, and whoever's interested, then, we support them in the registration process. So at least for us, it's, really focused on the students as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And then Michelle, tell us, and Christina, if you could go to the next slide, please, while Michelle's talking.
Yes, I think echoing what everyone has said is keeping students in mind. They're our priority, whether it doesn't really matter what the instructor or what this or what that. I think as long as we know that we're doing this for the students and to benefit the students, keeping the community in mind, especially since we work in a community that reflects us, right? We want to make sure that our community is also growing and prospering.
And speaking of community, we have a community of practice for dual enrollment practitioners from high schools, from colleges, from private schools, from public schools, from everybody, foundations, everybody, community groups. And so the link is in the chat, and there's also a QR code. It's on Basecamp. You can ask all of these questions that we didn't get to. You can ask in Basecamp, and you're going to get some really cool answers. And our very last slide, if you could please, show us slide 40, please. We also have an amazing and awesome dual enrollment equity conference. It's going to be happening in February. It's in Long Beach. We want you there. But we're going to send out all this information. Thank you so much to our amazing guests. You are so fantastic. Folks, come back for the next webinar, December 5th. We will see you. And if you receive that special invitation to go to the next Zoom meeting right after this, we'll see you in just a few minutes. But thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of our hearts.